Hi, good evening. Welcome to Tuesday, probably.
Yeah.
Sometime in the grand sequence of days that we're all experiencing. This is Ascension Heist, Mage 20th edition live play with Garblag Games. I'm Ben, and we're going to be playing some Mage. With me are David and Claire. Aha, there's two of them. Gotcha. And Auden.
Every time. I'm waving, but you can't. There it is. My magic disappearing hand.
Now, last week, we ended up having to do a little exciting side quest. So that Claire and David can get all caught up, I'm going to ask Claire and Auden to give a quick rundown of their adventures as to what happened when they went to Paddington.
Oh, I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I can talk about
It's too soon. It's too soon.
No, it's too soon.
What happened?
It was all very peaceful.
Kate and Holdings have been speculating around the Dudley estate. It's not a very nice area. Mostly storage lockups and railway bridges in the middle of quite a nice area. Just this one little puddle of knot. It's near the hospital. It's basically a cul-de-sac of 70s concrete. It's horrible. It's supernaturally depressed. It's infested with bane spirits. It's smelly, it's manky, it's horrible. We were convinced they were hiding something. Where was it we peeked in?
We
It was the end of the garages, wasn't it?
It was the end of the garage.
Door that was
one that was properly locked, properly secured, and moving our way through multitudes of pony-sized bane spirits, which fortunately Ray couldn't see.
Yeah, I could.
Tiana was not having a good time. She had to keep looking at
kids. No, I'm going to need a whole lot of
zombie
coffee.
dog.
Oh, we're coming.
I hadn't got there yet. The zombie dog was horrific.
There was a half munch dog, and then there was a moving about half munch dog that tried to munch Tiana and got squished
because it had a bane spirit on the inside.
Yeah, Revenant.
It took rather more effort than I think either of us expected to squish it.
Yes, there was some attempted spirit slapping, and there was some crowbarring, and eventually it stopped moving.
And then we go, oh look, there's some old pumping machinery down the back. Yeah, let's go and have a look at that. That's where all the spirits are going.
And there
was going down.
Spiritual entropic sink somewhere down below. And Ray and Tiana looked at each other and went, "This is a very bad idea. What are we doing?" And then
this is a really stupid idea. How far down is it? It was light down there, like little green flames. It was fine.
It was a barrel full of burning green bale fire.
And what was it, an old UXB? Yeah, nothing like a handy bomb to make things cozy.
Partly chewed person. There was a UXB, which on closer examination had all kinds of interesting hermetic and magery writing on the inside, clearly having held something. And then there was a sewer mutant.
Yay!
Yay! Ray's in hospital.
Yeah.
Ray kind of came first, but also came second in the fight against the sewer mutant.
The sewer mutant did get hit really rather hard in the head with a kinetically charged crowbar, which was pleasing.
The spirit slapping did not have quite as much of an effect as I'd hoped. That the super fast crowbar was a thing of revolting beauty.
Yeah, it helped at any rate. And then we poured a dodecahedron of glowing, radiating evilness back into its bomb casing and left.
Right. Did you find what you were looking for, though?
We're not entirely sure what we were looking for.
I think we were looking for bad stuff, and we found it.
Oh yeah,
Bad stuff was definitely found.
Yes.
And so it was that Ray ended up being left behind at St. Mary's Hospital.
Hello.
Because he was in fairly critical condition.
Ow.
He's now not dying.
Tiana returned to the lockup wearing second-hand
scrubs
and smelling quite badly.
Right.
Okay.
Isn't Ray our life mage?
Oh, let's hope not.
We might need some help.
Yeah, it might do.
Right.
So, what do you want to do?
Who is where? I'm back at the lockup. Am I
You've
by
gone back to the
myself?
lockup, which is where Sweet Pea and JM Jr. are.
Yeah.
Yarnell has photos of everything, so if any consideration wants to be given to what we found, she can pass on any of that information easily enough.
So just to refresh, I had my interview with what's his name?
Damien Kindler. Yep.
Yeah. I don't recall that I found anything particularly useful, did I? Just kind of
Not from him. He was
got followed home
a bit of a
by
geezer,
a
but it
glutinous
was
slay thing.
Yes.
There was the weird brained guy who was watching him, and then you got followed home by the little Bane spirit, which you managed to trap outside the lockup.
Yeah, is it still trapped?
Yes.
Yes, it's in a circle because I can't trap it in a thing. I don't have enough spirit. Did I kill it?
No, it was injured. It's kind of injured and trapped.
I thought I might have just decided to kill it because I couldn't do anything else with it.
I don't think you decided to in the last session.
Okay.
But I mean, it remains an option.
Yeah. And Claire, what were you doing?
Oh, right at the moment.
Potter, sorry.
We had come back from fitting the bug devices.
Yes, successfully fitting the bug devices, and you'd gone through a little bit of the footage and seen what you could see.
Which was very little.
Yeah, not much.
Nerds are boring.
Yeah, the only person who'd been back to the flat had been Ty Reed, and he'd gone back and spent the evening trying to fix the computer that had mysteriously broken.
So I guess we better get to the hospital then.
Yes, right, let's do that.
Can anyone help him? Or do we need to find someone else? Or
do I understand that none of us have life magic?
I could give him a bit of luck, maybe.
I think I could have used that earlier.
That was one of the things I was planning on doing when I got back, I think, was calling Mr. Black.
Okay.
Yeah, good idea. He'll know what to do.
Also, there was an idea that Mr. Black, being a hermetic wizardy chappy, might be able to do something more lasting with the
UXB.
Yeah. Because that whatever else is going on, that needs dealt with.
All right, so call Mr. Black.
He answers after 2 rings. Black.
Hi there. You may have a slight issue I'd quite like to discuss with you, if that's possible, please.
Is it something that's safe to talk about on the phone, or would you rather I visit?
If you are able to visit, then that might be helpful. Let's just say Ray's not feeling very well. He's in the hospital near Paddington.
St Mary's.
That's the one.
No, it's St Tommy's, isn't it? It's St Thomas's.
Yeah, that one. Kind of hoping you might be able to help. They've patched him up as best they can, but there's some other more deeper injuries that you might be able to assist us with, perhaps, or if you can point us towards someone.
I'll make a call and get someone to visit, and I'll head over to yours.
Thank you.
And a short while later, unless there's anything you particularly pressingly want to do over the course of the next hour or so.
Drink some iced tea.
I'm going to find a gin and tonic.
He pulls up.
Lovely NHS tea.
He pulls up about an hour later in a very mundane navy blue sedan. Gets out, appears completely oblivious to the spirit, and knocks on the door.
Shall let him in, since we invited him.
I've dispatched someone to see if they can help with Ray. How can I help you?
It's mostly Ray we were worried about, to be fair.
Wasn't there a big gooey container of something and a
There's-
bomb?
I was kind of working up to that.
I attracted a bane on my way home yesterday, so I've managed to trap it in a circle outside, but I don't have any means to bind it into an object.
Is it connected to the case?
I suspect so. Our target was being watched by a man, and we think the man put the bane on me. So I think it is working for, or was summoned by and was under the control of some sort of will worker in the employ of whoever his principals are.
Sorry about that. We were not expecting that. None of our evidence suggests that he has any magical support.
Possibly,
I know there's something off, but we didn't know that he had that much close support.
Possibly not support. They might be watching him rather than watching out for him. But either way, I attracted their attention as well, and might be able to get some useful information out of the spirit. So rather than simply crush it, I was wondering if I could get some help binding it in an object, and then we could then try and compel it or trace it back to its master or something like that.
Unfortunately, the Dream Speaker member of my cabal was killed not too long ago. I don't really have much access to spirit magic at the minute. That's one of the reasons why we've got two of you on this. I mean, you currently represent, between the two of you, pretty much the most spirit magic concentrated in London that we're aware of.
Right. Oh, well, I'll see what I can do then.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
One of my colleagues is taking a look at your friend Ray, though. Hopefully she'll be able to patch him up a bit.
Thank you. There was one other thing. While we were investigating the site in Paddington, which we think may have quite a large significance to the case, we found an unexploded bomb which contained hermetic symbols.
Hermetic symbols in a bomb?
Someone
had
opened
any pictures?
It. Yeah. I shall show him the pictures on my phone. Weird glowy green goo, runes.
Okay, the green is a very bad sign. That would suggest some kind of negative spirit essence.
It was full of bane spirits. Absolutely full of bane spirits. Some of them were big as horses.
As horses? Okay, this writing is Thule. It's Thule Society magic. Do you know them?
Not well, but well enough.
Nazi wizards.
Never really had much truck with them.
So, and you say the bomb's been there since the Second World War?
I'm not a historian, but it looks like it. Yeah, it looks like one of the old UXBs from history, essentially. It's rusted, so I'm assuming it's been there a while.
And it hasn't exploded?
No. Well, it's had its innards taken out.
Oh,
from the look of it, there's a hole punched in the side that's rusted round, and then there's basically the goo in it, nothing else.
So what? And he starts flicking through your pictures. Is this what was inside? And he looks at the weird glossy metallic dodecahedron.
Yeah.
That was inside.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was kind of on fire in the middle of a cavern area. We put it back in on the grounds that it was better in than on fire.
Yeah, that needs containment. I might need you to go back and pick that up because we can't leave that lying around.
Can we send someone who can shield better than I can? Because I feel really ill.
But spiritually,
Everything, frankly. I'm pretty sure there was some element of radiation poisoning going on there.
It is possible that there could be spiritually active radioactive material. That could be bad.
Oh, God.
And it smells down there. I've washed my hair 4 times and I still smell. Sorry, guys.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can get someone
that was
to go and
down there,
pick it
to
up.
be fair.
You're probably right. I don't think you have the containment necessary to hold whatever that thing is.
And watch out for weird rat people. Pretty sure there was only the one, but who knows what the green goo's done to people.
Rat people.
Tall guy. Sort of claw things. Very, very elongated. Elongated face and yeah, not nice.
Big eye. Don't forget the eye. I'm not here, but it's a little voice in your head.
Yeah, that.
And the giant praying mantis arm.
Yeah, that I remember vividly. So much so that even though I'm not there, I'm still projecting.
Meanwhile, at the hospital.
Oh, another cup of tea, lovely. Thank you. I'd just like to say I think the NHS are brilliant.
The ward sister who's come up to see us, I've not brought you a cup of tea, Mr. Van Horn.
Oh, God.
I'm here on behalf of a mutual acquaintance. I believe
right.
you know Mr. Black.
Oh, yes. Hello. Have a chair.
He's asked me to take a look at your injuries.
Oh, yes. I got stabbed by a mutant.
She starts very professionally peeling off the bandages around your shoulder. Yes, this does go a little beyond the need for antibiotics. This is quite serious.
Yes, I had that feeling.
I think in this case, we may need to consider. She sort of looks around a little bit and then sort of leans in a little bit closer and says, we might need to realign your chakras.
Ooh. That's fun.
Probably not in this case, I'm afraid.
Oh. Is it more fun than being stabbed by a super mutant?
Depends on your concept of fun, but
I'm going to go with yes.
Why don't we find out and see how we go?
Okay. Right. What do I need to do? Do I need to go cross my legs? What?
You just lay there on your front and
all right.
let me do what is necessary.
All right. I'm going to be very trusting because that ended well last time.
Well, she takes a necklace off that she's got underneath her nurse's uniform and wraps it around her hand twice. It's made out of tiny little wooden skulls.
Oh, well, that's comforting.
And then she extracts a dagger, probably only about that big, from inside her waistband. And says, are you on the morphine, Mr. Van Horn?
I could be. I think I just push this button and then I get some more.
Okay, because this may hurt otherwise.
Push.
And she stabs this little curved dagger into the injury on your shoulder and starts chanting, probably Urdu, you're not sure, might be Hindi.
All right.
And she's just kind of sort of scything this thing in and out of the injury. And it does hurt, but it also feels better.
That sort of tickles. That's a bit odd.
And then she takes the blade and runs it across her tongue and spits into one of the little plastic cups that's nearby, puts a lid on it straight away, reinserts the blade into her waistband. And she takes one knuckle like that and jabs it 5 times into your back, all the way up the length of your spine, finishing just at the base of your skull there.
Oh, it's all good numb.
Right, well, I'm afraid that's the best I can do. For now, at least.
All right.
Get some rest and see how you feel in the morning.
Okay.
Hopefully by then you will feel slightly better.
Thank you. I didn't catch your name. Sorry. How rude of me.
I'm Sunita Chakravarti.
Thank you, Sunita. Much appreciated.
A pleasure. Best you not speak of this to the doctors.
No. No, I wasn't going to mention how some random person came in and stabbed me with a slightly smaller knife than last time.
Oh, no, don't worry about that. I work here.
Oh, all right. I still won't mention it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
On your way out, could you get me some tea?
I'll have someone bring you a cup of tea.
Marvellous. There we go. That'll get me better.
But you should sleep.
Yes, after the tea. Priorities.
So she heads off, and a short while later, you brought a cup of tea by one of the orderlies.
Lovely. Thank you.
With an extra packet of sugar.
Yeah, there we go.
So you can heal back 4 of those levels of damage that you've got.
Marvellous.
Overnight as you sleep.
Fantastic. Still a little bit damaged, but I can...
Yeah, you're going to be a bit sore in the shoulder for a couple of days, but you'll manage.
But, yeah. Marvellous.
A little bit of Euthanatos magic there for one of our competition entrants who was a big fan. Okay, so back at the base. What do you guys want to do next?
I'm still nursing an aggravated bruise. Obviously pales into insignificance behind.
Right, Sweet Pea, do you feel like doing a bit of collaborative magic?
Yeah, if you like. What are you thinking?
Right, I'm trying to think about how to do this. It might be better for me to shift into technocratic paradigm. I can try and rig up a dimensional science effect that will bring your perception into a higher dimensional level of vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can use randomization and spatial organization of data to try and generate probabilistic builds for exactly what the origin of the bane outside might have been. Yeah, I'm not sure if I've got all the equipment necessary to do a proper dimensional field adjustment, but I can see what I can improvise.
We've got plenty of stuff here. Let's. What do you need?
A 4 gigahertz phase wave adjuster.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look through the box. I don't think we've got one of these, but if I take this out of the back of here, maybe we can rig it up.
Possibly. It's been a while. What's the power supplies do you have here? Do you have any essential power supplies?
Oh, we've got all sorts here. I mean.
Okay, well, let's see what we can knock up together. Ben, I'm not sure what your feeling is on people collaborating on effects, but I want to try and do I'm going to bring Spirit 3 and Mind 3 to try and draw Claire's perceptions into the Spirit and see if Claire can do you've got correspondence and entropy, haven't you?
Yep.
Do a correspondence and entropy effect to try and work out who summoned this.
I'm absolutely fine with shared magic as long as they are paradigmatically appropriate. I mean, because you're both, if you're going to do it as a technomancer and she's a technomancer as well, based on the way she does magic, that's absolutely fine. I mean, if you were trying to dance around and shake sticks at her computer, that might not go so well.
Right, so we're trying to get some kind of vibrational attunement with the thing outside, right? So that I can then, see into this big spirit computer and...
Yeah, well, the way you'd normally use your computers to access the virtual web and very rapidly collate large amounts of data. So the higher dimensional and the higher and lower dimensional vibrations have their own kind of organizational webs, a bit like the man-made digital web, but these are sort of naturally occurring. They're essentially spider webs.
So we're going to have to take it to plug something into the thing outside, or?
Well, I figure if we could set up some harmonic vibration generators around them, rig them into like a Cat5 web around, and plug that into one of your devices, then it can sort of simultaneously give your computer access to these higher frequencies and allow us to attune your sort of algorithms with the frequencies coming from the entity and circle.
Okay, so we need maybe 5 of these.
Yeah, let's see if we can get 5 of those things going on.
Okay.
This isn't really the kind of spec I'm used to working with.
It's not exactly a technocratic lab, is it? Got a flux capacitor? No, but I can pull a bit off the fridge.
But I think I can make some of this work. Right.
I mean, we can take the TV apart if you need.
Wits and technology.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's my roll 20?
And then Claire, you'll need a Dex and technology.
Okay.
What's my difficulty?
7s.
What's mine?
All right, Potter, you've got 3 successes to build using the 3 successes that Dave's given you with parts. So using the parts that he manages to scavenge up by taking the fridge and the microwave and the TV and the car stereo apart, you're able to rig up 3 of these subetheric oscillators. But that's okay, because like 3 makes a triangle and triangles are magic. Everybody knows that.
It's enough to create a triangulation thing. We'll just need to modify the algorithm slightly to adapt.
Right. So I'm going to take these outside and put them round, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll bring my screen, my pluggy doodah.
Oh, of course, you've got a pluggy doodah as well.
Got a pluggy doodah. Does everything.
And then if you both want to make an arete roll, we will combine your successes. Dave, you're doing Spirit 3 and you're...
I would think so. It might be Spirit 2 to draw someone else's perception into the Umbra, but unfortunately I left my rulebook upstairs.
No, we'll go with 2 to pull someone else's perception across, because you're not directly affecting a thing of spirit.
Yeah.
So you're using a Spirit 2 effect, which is kind of vulgar without witnesses. So you're looking at difficulty 6. And Claire is then running algorithms and tracking it correspondence-wise. So again, probably a level 2 effect. But yours is kind of coincidental because you're running algorithms. So yours is going to be difficulty 5.
success.
So that's 1 success from Claire and 2 from Dave. Add it together for 3 magical successes. And what exactly are you trying to find out?
I guess we'll try and find out where and by whom this creature was summoned.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this creature was not summoned. This creature is carried by that gentleman that you saw in the club. So it is associated with him. It's not, but it's associated with him almost like, I'm trying to think of the right analogy here. Like if he was covered in loads of leeches that weren't harming him and he was able to pull them off and throw them at things. So that's one of your successes gone. So it's associated with the guy you saw in the club in that way.
Okay.
So
like
is this
a
normal?
scale he can shed.
Do your type usually have these kind of things?
Not usually. I mean, I have a spirit bound to me is too strong a word. I have a spirit in a arrangement of mutual support, but he's not part of me. I can't like rip him off and throw him at people or anything like that. I call on him and he maybe turns up if basically he's in the mood to mess with me. So not usually. Ben, what would be the role to know something about this?
I would say you've still kind of got 2 more bits of information relating to the current role. So any more information that you want to get about sort of locational gubbins and connections.
Oh, where is the dude that this thing came from then?
He is... That's a shielded location, so...
Right, who is the dude?
It does come back that he is in London, but it can't it's somewhere near the river. Can't give you any more details than that. And he is... Part of him is Lieutenant Adam Carr. At least half of him is Lieutenant Adam Carr, formerly of Project Zenith. But the creature is more associated with the other half of him.
Right. Well, shall we kill him? Kill it. This thing. Does anybody
Is he going to miss it?
Well, if it goes back to him, it can probably tell him stuff about me.
Probably don't want that then.
Right, well, I'm killing it.
Okay. It's held, it's hostage. There's not really much you can do right now, so I'm not going to make you roll it out for killing it, but I am going to ask both of you to make 1 more Arete roll. At difficulty 7.
No successes.
Mm-hmm.
Got a 10.
1 success. Jolly good. Well, Dave, you noticed that in the process of having combined effects in this way, that Claire's computer has started to become a little bit more aware. There's like an awakening spirit inside it. Her device has become sort of Ziggy level sentience.
Sweet Pea, do you know your computer wants to be awake?
What? It's just my computer.
Do you want me to wake it up?
I mean, what do you mean? It hasn't got like arms or legs or anything. It can't do anything. It's
well, everything. This is what Tiana was talking about. Everything has a spirit. Most things have spirits that sleep very comfortably within them. One of the talents that dream speakers have is we can wake the spirit of a thing up so that it knows what it is. It can make it better at doing what it does, but it can also make it a bit more opinionated.
Yeah, I was going to say, does this mean it's not going to do what it's told anymore?
It depends on how much it likes you.
Well,
Also, that in turn depends on how much respect you show it.
Well, I look after her well. I mean, I made her.
What's her name?
Gertrude.
And
Named her after my aunt.
Right, then I will sing a song of welcoming and thanks to Gertrude, and call on her to open her eyes and look in wonder at the world. I think awakening an item is spirit too.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to come and listen too, because I'm pretty sure I heard my name. And what's going on out here?
Oh,
3 successes, including a 10.
yowza! Yes, the nascent spirit inside of Gertrude is very definitely waking. You suspect that this will be a fully awakened device in fairly short order. What that means in terms of personality and behavior, that will kind of depend on the user.
Does this mean she's going to start demanding tea?
Maybe you need to come up with a program called T.
I could write that.
You're going to have to start looking after it a bit more like a Tamagotchi. It'll wake you up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. What is it? I was lonely. Ah! Is there anything else you guys want to do that evening?
I guess we need to find some more stuff out.
Yeah, what about this car guy and Project Zenith? Do we know anything about either of these?
Tiana had the information on that, I believe.
Tiana?
This was the guy that you were
the officially dead
slugged by.
He was redacted.
Yeah.
So
pretty much all we had was Project Zenith.
If he's the same guy, he was in the strip joint watching. I keep blanking the guy's name.
Kindler. Damien Kindler.
And looks like he threw a spirit that was attached to him onto me as I was leaving to track me, which I've now destroyed, so we should be all right. But what we know about this car guy is that he's at least half taken over by a spirit entity of some description, and not a good one.
Mm.
Oh yeah, that was right. You wanted to know about those as well, didn't you? Yes, you had a question. That would be... It's not Enigmas, it's the other one.
Is it a cult?
It would definitely be a cult, yes.
I do not have a cult.
You do not have a cult.
I've got cosmology. Probably doesn't count.
Cosmology, I suppose, might give you the technocratic take on it. So I'll let you make intelligence cosmology at difficulty 8.
Okay, let's give it a go.
No. Claire, have you got a cult? D.
No, sorry.
Nope, nobody got any occult. Okay. Mages without a cult? What madness is this?
Ray does, but he's unconscious.
I can ask Anansi, but there's a good chance he'll just turn up and take the piss.
There is a good chance.
Do we have any
you want to
food?
know the answer.
Do we have some food?
Let's have some food.
Yeah, it's probably getting quite late about now, and you have taken the fridge apart, so you might want to eat and drink everything you can.
All right.
Oh no, the iced tea will be getting warm.
I make a big pile of food on the table and pour out a big glass of rum, and I will call out to Nancy, brother.
Oh, he's going to do it.
Come to me. I need your help.
Inside or outside?
Do you guys want to see this?
I'm just thinking Nancy won't be particularly flattered if you invite him into the spirit warded place.
Oh, that's true. Outside.
So a teenage kid comes and leans up against the wall next to you. All right, geez.
All right. There's food on the table.
Oh, nice one.
Pushed out a table. How are you doing?
You know, what? What do you want?
What is it when someone's let a bad spirit, a bane, become more than half of them, giving him powers?
Oh, that's that's that Venom thing, isn't it? You know, like in that film.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like the weird parasite thing gets old and becomes like half of him. Something to do with the Irish. Yeah, one big crazy eye.
No, you've lost me.
So yeah, it's the Spider-Man thing, like in that movie.
Right. Do we know who do they work for? How they are a threat to me?
Oh, they're definitely a threat, aren't they? I mean, like they're evil aliens that want to take over the world.
Right.
And you've seen the movie?
No.
You should watch it. It's a good movie. Anyway, cheers.
Right, thank you.
And he walks off with a bottle of Coke in his hand.
Right. Well, not very helpful information. This car guy is something to do with Irish people with one big eye.
Irish people with one big eye.
I don't know if that was helpful. He said it was a bit like the film Venom, where the thing becomes part of you and sort of takes over. That these things that become part of you and try and take over are trying to take over the world. So.
Okay. So does that mean people can catch them? Like, can he infect other people?
That scans. I mean, he threw a spirit that attached itself to my spirit.
Would that have something to do with all these Bane spirits that they found in that place? I mean, maybe he has something to do with that, no?
Could do.
None of them stuck on. I'm quite glad about that.
I think that was something specific that Carr could do, that he could stick a part of himself onto you. So maybe Carr had to invite the spirit in the first place, but once he'd invited the spirit in, he gained the power to throw sticky spirits. I don't know. It's giving us an idea who the big operator is on this, unless there's more than one player in this.
So he's one of the guys who's close to Kindler.
Kindler. Whose name I definitely remember.
Damien Kindler.
I remember the mark. It's quite important.
Maybe if he was involved in this Project Zenith thing, I mean, was he ahead of it, or was he like one of the subjects, or?
What do we know about Zenith?
that it was a project to make super soldiers. I mean, if I was going to make super soldiers, I would quite like them to have bad spirits and they could throw sticky things at people. I don't know.
So it's a project to make super soldiers by attaching bad spirits to them. You see, when we said project to make super soldiers, my first thought was progenitors, but that's not their... The technocracy doesn't really do spirit magic. We call it dimensional science, but it's mostly about studying spirits to keep them well off our lawn. So it's probably not a technocrat behind
Yeah, I'm
it.
sure the info said it wasn't technocracy.
Yeah. Do vampires do spirits?
I don't know much about vampires. But it kind of makes sense, and it
Generally,
sounds
no.
like if you've got a big pit full of these spirits, maybe that's got something to do with Project Zenith too.
Yeah.
Maybe the guy down there was another redacted.
Maybe. Did you get anything from him aside from a big fight?
Horrible
Big ol'.
injuries.
Ray was
Right
perforated.
To get, I don't know what the delicate
A
way to
photo,
put this
but
is.
it's kind of blurry because I was backing away.
We've got a photo. Did you get, I don't know, a delicate way to put this, genetic material?
I have no idea. If I did, it's down the plug hole, and I'm not going back down there after it.
Nothing on your clothes?
Well, probably, but I burnt them at the hospital.
Right.
They were covered in dog. Being covered in dog is not pleasant.
No, fair enough.
He's probably still there.
Well, if we could identify that fella.
Big eye.
I mean, there might be stuff on Ray's crowbar, but I don't know where that ended up. Probably in the boot. It might be in the boot of his car. We can check, but it was kind of
the
gross.
seats of the car. Sorry, I'm not there, but
Well,
We can have a squeeze in his car.
Sorry, Pete, do you think you can do a web search based on the photo? Doing the entropy correspondence trick again?
Sure, yeah, I can do a facial search.
Do you want to plug in?
Great.
how many hits for a sewer mutant?
Luckily, you're not in New York.
Oh.
So not so many then.
Right, Claire, yes, you do come across a partial match. Not a very good one. The guy's face is older in the pictures that Tiana shows you.
As well as being horribly mutated.
As well as being horribly mutated.
Yeah.
But it does appear that your theory is correct. He was a corporal, redacted, from Redacted Regiment, who was taken into Project Zenith at Redacted. There's then a file that says the words "and," "the," and "of" in it, and everything else is redacted.
Right. Can we get a list of all names associated with Project Zenith and see if we can find out if people have gone missing?
When did these people go missing? When? Like, was it recently in the last 10, 20 years or?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I feel like we can do more digging into Zenith in general, but our contention at the moment is that Zenith is some kind of project involving evil spirits, which binds evil spirits to people to create super soldiers, except the evil spirits aren't just a resource that Zenith is using, but themselves want to take over the world in some way. Whether Zenith is part of that scheme or are haplessly using these spirits, not knowing that they're actually advancing their plot, we don't know yet. They have a nest of evil spirits in Paddington, and Damien Kindler is trying to buy that area of Paddington.
Oh yeah.
So
that's why we went down there.
On behalf of a Turkish investor.
So I assume they are financing that. Yeah.
So on behalf of the Turkish investor. So are we looking at not Damien Kindler's principal, but a rival? The Turkish investor wants to buy the nest of spirits and the current owners of the Nest of Spirits are plotting against him or watching him, making moves to block him.
Possibly.
It's kind of like tenement chess.
Did we have any info on the Turkish investor?
Hassam Alibeoglu, with the wonderful photo that you found.
Not a vampire, possibly magical.
Gangster, kleptocrats.
Yeah.
Never been caught. Definitely.
Okay. We don't currently have a line on him as far as I know. Mr. Black might have people in Turkey.
Okay, so we're going to search a bit deeper for Project Zenith and possibly for any links between Hassan Alabigalu and Project Zenith.
Okay.
What am I
So
rolling?
Burning the midnight oil then.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okie dokie. So that's intelligence and computers from the two nerdy crew. You start frantically hacking and heckling one another and dancing around the room intermittently and eating pizza.
Oh.
Mainlining caffeine.
Mainlining caffeine.
Again.
Doing that montage from Hackers. So
where's that industrial music coming from?
It's just the typing.
We got, that's a bad set of rolls. There's one success there, and one success, two successes, three successes there.
Okay. Get a reroll. What's Claire's specialization?
There's also the one, remember, though.
The one doesn't cancel out the reroll.
Oh, does it not? They've changed everything.
No, it never did.
Didn't it?
You get to reroll even if you get a cancel out.
Oh, okay. We did it wrong.
But only if the specialization is relevant.
Okay. What is your specialization, Claire D?
In
intelligence or computers?
Tech.
And your computer specialization?
I hadn't got that far.
Okay, well, we got a total of 4 successes between the two of you. And so you managed to dig up some useful information. Which is probably 5 successes on the reroll, potentially. So you managed to dig up a little bit of useful information. It looks like what you can find about Project Zenith is it started shortly after World War II using German scientists working for the British Army. They didn't have very many successes, and their funding was called into question a number of times because of their methodology, which was deemed extreme. And most of their volunteers did not survive the process. So that was the Project Zenith stuff you wanted to know. What else was it you wanted to know?
Whether Hassan Alabigalu was linked at all to it.
He doesn't appear to be linked to Project Zenith in any way you can uncover, but he's a kleptocrat who's never been caught, so who wouldn't want a private army of super soldiers?
Okay.
So Nazis and the Thule Society was mentioned, who are
Nazi wizards.
Nazi wizards, Hermetic Nazi wizards. So we have some kind of bomb full of. Was it definitely a bomb, or was it just you're calling it a bomb?
UXB.
It looked very much like a UXB from Second World War. That's what I thought it was as well, and knows a bit more about such things than I do.
So they had a bomb full of spirits which they were planning to drop onto London, possibly to unleash spirits on London, but it never exploded. But someone
ripped it open.
Came along and cracked it open, the bomb casing, and was using the spirits to bind them into people to create these venom things.
That area of Paddington is where they were doing it.
And now someone is hiring our friend, who is a hapless motherfucker, to buy the street with the bomb casing full of Banes for their own purposes. So I'm going to guess that our fella is not part of the Zenith. This feels like rivals. How's my reasoning working out? What do you guys think?
Yeah, sounds sensible.
Which means there are still questions to be answered. And we need a new fridge.
And a new TV. And a new radio.
Yeah.
You better not have taken the radio out of the motor.
No, what kind of monster would do that?
Right. Good. Just checking.
Did you want me to hoik the crowbar out of the car?
It's covered in sewer mutant.
Exactly.
Well, we've already established who sewer mutant guy is, haven't we? From his photo.
Yes.
Corporal
redacted. So somebody's trying to buy all this street through him. Wondering whether we can try and act as a competitor.
Um,
You think we can try and buy it? Only not really buy it?
I was wondering that.
Take his money?
Right, let's try and work out the play and try and work out Black's play as well. He wants the transaction to go through, but for us to steal the money.
He just wants to bring Kindler down.
He just wants the money to be somewhere else. He doesn't care where.
Is Black lying to us? Does he want the bomb?
I wouldn't be surprised.
If so, you've just given it to him.
Yeah, in fairness, you did tell him where it was, what it had in it.
Yeah.
He may
and
have already
you didn't
known
want to go near it. So.
Right. So the idea is go in as a competitor. Who do we pretend to be?
Up and coming corporation, turning rundown areas into somewhere livable, something charitable.
It's not really Kindler that we want the attention of, though, isn't it? We want the backers. So, who does spirit magic? Dream speakers. Do we know whether vampires do spirit magic?
I don't believe you'd worked it out.
No. Do werewolves do spirit magic? I mean, there might be ghosts. Could we present ourselves as ghosts?
Wow. Ambitious.
I mean, are we assuming Kindler knows anything about this anyway?
Well, what we'd do is we'd code it. We'd present ourselves as normal human beings working for a secretive cabal of ghosts. We'd call ourselves, I don't know,
the Ghost Society?
and ghoulies.
A Puff Corporation.
So we want the investment not to go through. What are we trying to achieve?
We're stealing the money. The money's coming from the Turkish guy.
To Kindler.
We want it to look like Kindler stole it.
And we definitely don't want it to end up with the Turkish guy owning this big Bane bomb.
So I guess if the transaction is for the street, one of our plays is to take the bomb out. So it doesn't matter who owns the street.
Yeah.
Would you say it's movable?
I think I could probably fit inside it, and it's made of heavy metal.
No, it wasn't that big, Claire.
Was it? I pictured it quite that big.
No, it was nowhere near that big.
Okay, maybe then.
It's only about that big around.
Okay, I imagined it completely wrong.
Sorry, there's my head for reference.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
I mean, yeah, well, normally if we were face to face, going like that would be a perfect description, but yeah, you need my face for reference.
Maybe if you're feeling sturdy and have some way of getting it up the ladder from the bottom.
Could we drop a line to the Technocracy and see if they send a cleanup crew? I mean, they'll
It's getting more people involved, though. Do we want more people involved?
I don't want their attention. This would be an anonymous tip-off. But they'll slap a bunch of field suppressors around there, send a sweep and clear team through. They don't want evil spirits for their own purposes. They would just be looking to exterminate and contain.
Be kind of obvious, though. I guess the transaction just wouldn't go through at all.
Yeah.
I mean, not that that's a bad thing. I mean, our aim surely was just to bring him down.
So we can go through the heist, get the money, and then
clear it out.
Then the anonymous tip happens the next day.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Or immediately after.
Or immediately after, yeah.
Yeah, as soon as the money's moved.
Okay,
Right.
well, everybody gets a bit of sleep then.
Yeah.
And then the following morning, Ray is out of hospital.
Oh, I feel so much better.
Yay.
And turns up with a big bag full of bacon sandwiches.
Morning. Right, I hope none of you are vegetarian.
Not when there's bacon involved.
Good. Why is the table outside? What did you do to the fridge? I've gone for one. Where's the telly?
We needed some parts.
You needed some.
He did some weird thing, and then he woke up my computer. It was very strange.
All right, fine.
Have you said good morning to it yet? You
No.
probably should. Have a little chat. Tell it how you're feeling.
Okay.
God, hey,
Just got this mental image of like Scotty from Star Trek 4. Hello, computer.
Hello.
Right, what's the plan for today then, gang? What do you want to do?
I'd like to get a shotgun.
We've been talking about what to do about the Bane bomb down in the sewers.
All right. What's the plan? What are we going to do? I'm not going back in there.
That was pretty much what I said.
Good. What did Mr. Black say?
Yeah.
I bet
He was
he
going to go and check it out, wasn't he? We had concerns.
What sort of concerns?
I don't think we're entirely sure of his intentions for this whole thing.
We're mistrusting our employer. Imagine that in a heist.
No, yeah, ridiculous.
Could somebody who's feeling like it make a wits and politics
Okay, not me.
roll or a wits and streetwise roll?
Oh,
Either
that
of
one,
those
yes.
will do.
That one, yes.
I was going to do politics. Why didn't I do politics? I did investigation instead.
both.
Oh well.
So wits and politics or wits and streetwise, either are appropriate.
Or just wits.
Oh, that's a good roll.
That is a good roll.
I'm still going. Difficulty.
Ooh,
Sixes.
nice.
Sixes. Twos.
Yep, a fairly successful little set of rolls there. Yeah, I mean, the elephant in the room here is that's just one of the property sets that Kindle has bought and flipped.
I was wondering about that when we were wondering about Paddington getting gunk all over our boots.
Whereas he's been known as a mover and shaker of property and investments for a good few years. So is there any connection to any of his other places?
Is this
Your fixation on this one site, if he's already done it 3 or 4 times, what's happened there? Or has anything happened there?
Yeah, that's a good point. We could have a look at his previous transactions.
I did mention this, but I was in hospital and on lots of morphine. I was wondering is it the evilness that is drawing in Damien? Is it the evilness that's drawing in his backers? Is there a pattern? Looking at you, Sweet Pea.
Let's have a look.
A pattern in the randomness. Is there something that shapes these? Can we tell where UXBs fell? Do we have any kind of way of telling, matching up the characteristics of this particular sink estate?
Let's have a look at the different areas that he has bought and sold before. Let's look at them on a map, see if they make a pentagram.
Guarantee if we find 3, it's going to make a magic triangle.
Yeah.
I did that once in a game of Conspiracy X. The sites in no way made a pentagram, but I decided that they were one, so I made them fit. Derailed the entire investigation.
Either that or they're mysteriously along some ley lines. Okay, let's have a look at the previous transactions then. Where's he bought and sold before? Is there any particular prominent news about those areas? That kind of thing.
Is there anything from the archives about UXBs, fallen bombs, V2s?
Okay. Make an intelligence. Oh no, you're magicking, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because you're doing pattern recognition. Right, make a magicking roll then. That's an Arete difficulty of 4. Nice. Bang, bang, bang. So similar profiles to this particular site. There are over a dozen properties that Kindle has bought and sold. Now, not every single one of them is going to be the same kind of moody. Some of them are quite literally just investment opportunities. But besides the Paddington one, you notice that there is a site in Mile End that has similar properties, a site in Bermondsey, smuggest station in the underground.
Bermondsey.
Knows why.
And another in Islington. So 3 other sites, all of which were run down, derelict or semi-derelict properties that were subsequently bought up, sold off to developers, flats have been built up, and the patterns that you see with those 3 sites show an unnaturally high level of crime and mental illness in the buildings that have gone up since. 2 of those buildings are owned now by Hassam Ali Bayoglu. He owns the one in Islington and he owns the one in Bermondsey.
Who owns the other one in Mile End?
Interestingly, that's redacted.
Redacted.
Now, Ali Bayoglu owns his sites through shell companies and shell companies of shell companies and things like that. He's effectively a landlord on those properties, but with a cascade of lesser businesses below him. So he's making money off them and is sort of the grand high landowner, but nothing particularly special there. That's probably all you get from that investigation.
Still unusually high crime and mental illness.
Yes.
So,
I mean, even for the area that they're in,
it's unusually high.
Those buildings and the sites immediately around them show unusually high levels. Yeah.
Even
what kind of mental illness?
Redeveloped, so that suggests that
Depression,
is
schizophrenia, bipolar.
Can we find a map of known bomb strikes during the war?
Trouble is, there are so many that they're scattered pretty much across the entire area. You could say that there are bomb strikes in any of those places, and there would be.
Right. So what we need is to search for these Bane things by either going around there personally or summoning a bunch of spirits and sending out to look for them.
Mm-hmm.
Can I do some kind of search using the maps of the bomb fall, which obviously there's quite a lot, but there would be maps of where bombs fell in the archives, and tuning into the spirit world at the same time?
Ooh,
can I harness? Can I basically hoik the power of my poor little computer? Tell it where to look and see if it can spot anything in the Umbra.
Do you have correspondence?
Yes.
Then yes, you can give it a go. Make an Arete roll at difficulty 5.
My button is broken again. I'll just roll 3 dice. I'll be quick. There we go.
Just building tension. Okay. Sorry, what was it you were looking for again? What were the words you used?
I was
don't
looking
want to
for.
overgive.
I'm looking for basically spirits where any high concentration of Bane spirits where the bombs were, where the bombs are reported to have fallen.
You don't even have to look at bomb strikes. You can look at specifically the sites that fella's bought.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And yes, you can see that it correlates on both grounds, both on sites that have been bought. The Mile End, Bermondsey and Islington sites have correspondingly high levels of spirit activity and were sites where bombs fell during the war.
Mm.
And this Turkish buyer has bought these sites as well.
Yes, he owns Bermondsey and Islington. Now, the nearest one to where you are is the Mile End site.
I should go and have a look.
Bermondsey is just south of the river from where you are. Islington's north of you and Paddington is west.
Thinking we should probably find out more about Thule Society magic.
And what they're trying to achieve, because they just built on the top of it. They're not using it.
Yeah, see, I'd want that cleared out first, like, burnt.
But maybe there's a reason why they've done that.
Are they trying to create these poor Project Zenith creatures organically? Rather than
the poor hapless citizens who've paid a fortune for London property.
Exactly. Here, come live here. By the way, have a Bane spirit stuck to you. Just a thought.
Okay, so again, I guess it depends upon if we're looking at one group or two. The Thule Society creates Bane bombs and drops them on London. The objective being to throw out bad spirits to possess Londoners and cause havoc.
Or to suck the life out of them, because that's what the dodecahedron was doing. It was just absorbing.
It was gloom, all of the gloom.
Nobody's business. I don't know whether the Bane spirits were just there because they liked the environment or whether they came from the bomb. But looking at the forces around that thing, it was just sucking it all down.
It was
sucking it all in. Why? Like, is that to make itself more powerful, or is it trying to make something else more powerful?
It's just really negative.
So, step 2. Zenith is formed in the UK using old Thule Society magicians who
German scientist Heisenberg. Oh, brilliant!
Who track down these bombs, crack them open, and harness the spirits to make evil super soldiers. Now, this Turkish agent is coming in and through Damien, buying sites which are being used by Project Zenith, prettifying them up, leaving the bombs under them, which are therefore spreading into otherwise well-to-do communities and going back to what was presumably the original but German plot, possessing local people and causing misery and suffering. How's that feel?
Convoluted. But
Can you build a different picture from these parts?
No, it just seems so. The one we found in Paddington, there wasn't anything complicated going on there. There was a lock-up, and there was a certain mutant who had a glowy dodecahedron in a barrel on fire. It's not a high-class operation. There's not a lot of secrecy. There's not a lot of security. That seems just a bit less.
And it just looked like that was it. There was nothing else to it that we could see.
There's no equipment. There's no secret society.
Right. Do we want to check
Not
out the
visible.
sewers?
We don't know if there was anything further under there. If there was, press the right button and you've got some kind of lift down to a giant laboratory. We didn't go that far because we were busy being skewered.
And irradiated. Don't forget the irradiated.
Yeah, no, that was fun too.
Okay.
So, do we want to check out the sewers underneath a couple of these other sites?
No, not really. Yes, maybe.
Because
With the right equipment,
With all 4 of us this time, maybe not just. Yeah, we shouldn't have wandered off. That was stupid.
Change of clothing and a shotgun.
So Paddington is a site that the purchase is ongoing. Why don't we look at a site where the purchase has happened sometime in the past?
That would be interesting to do a comparative.
What the plan is.
Yeah. This is just to be the anti-hero in the party. Why? We've got a job to muck around with Mr. Damien Kindler and his money supply.
We do, and you don't go.
We want to know why.
You don't go into a job like this not knowing the angles. We don't know what Eddie Berglou wants. Then we can't predict his behaviour. If you know what he wants,
if we're being party to something that's going to turn half of London into dead zombie sewer mutants with bane spirits in their heads, then I'd rather not be involved with that.
I agree with that. I like London. I know my way around.
Have you got some boiler suits? Can you get some?
Yeah, we've got some.
Yeah, there's already some in the back of the van. I'm going to have to call a mate about a shooter because I'm not doing this with a crowbar again.
You did do a beautiful job with that crowbar. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Right, let's lay down 4 boiler suits, and I will try and give you some kind of protection against whatever's down there. It won't be great, but it'll help.
Mm-hmm.
Right, what do? I will get my spray can, not quite empty yet. And on each of these suits, I'm going to create a long continuous pattern from cuffs to collars to ankles of interlocking, overlapping spider webs. And then I'm going to awaken the spirit within each boiler suit to say thank you and to remind it that the job of a boiler suit is to keep the person wearing it clean and safe. And
I'm loving the kind of baggy Into the Spider-Verse feel to this.
It goes nicely with the Venom reference.
Well, you see, I'm both invoking my totem, Anansi, and in fact, pattern spiders, who by their nature are things that tend to bind and protect.
This is true.
Very good.
Is this a level 2 effect? Is it subtle?
It's not really it can't really be subtle, is it? Because you've got to do the whole song and dance thing.
Okay. Hang on.
So it's at 6s of what you're going for, which will do the job. So you sort of fortify the boiler suits against spirit incursion.
Yeah, I'm not trying to make a fetish because I don't have the power to do that. I'm just trying to remind the boiler suit that its job is ultimately protective.
Yeah. So you're going to have a boiler suit that actively wants to stop you getting, or it wants to stop itself getting damaged or dirty. So the fact that you're inside is just a happy coincidence.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any other preparation? Auden, you wanted to get a shooter.
Oh yes, not doing this again.
Right. Could you make a roll on your contacts? So your contacts background, number of dice, and tell me a bit about who you're going to go and talk to.
Who am I going to talk to? Yes, me influence, me local influence. I'm going to have to cash in a favour, I think, if I actually want to get an iron.
More than likely.
So it's not going to be Baz. I'm going to have to go talk to. I'm going to have to go and talk to the lady seamstress.
You're going to the seamstress.
The seamstress, I haven't seen her in a couple of years. Hopefully she'll remember I did her a good turn. I don't need much. I just need a sawn off, some shells. It's like a comfort shotgun, really.
Seamstress is happy to loan you.
I'll leave a deposit.
A shotgun and some shells, and may call on you in the future for a favour.
That is absolutely understood. I'm very glad.
She passes you an old ex-army duffel bag, which has got a sawn off, butts wrapped in tape.
Classic.
Half a dozen shells.
That'll do nicely. Thank you very much.
Shows you back out of her little shop.
Stay happy. You know where to find me when you need me.
Oh, cool. If I need to.
I will be there if you need me.
I remember you saw our Sharon, right? You'll be all right for it.
Oh, yeah. Don't like ladies in distress. Gentlemen should know that no means no.
Either of the Claires. Anything you guys want to do?
I would like to essentially give each of our party members a sanity bubble against the spirit world.
Okay.
Not a kind of complete block, just I guess an early warning system if there's something nasty up ahead, just to go bing, look, there's something there.
Okay. Tricky because you're trying to share your ability to see spirit things with multiple other people at once. But roll your arete at a difficulty of 6 and we'll see how you do. You only really need 2 successes. Okay, so you got a success. Is it going on Ray or is it going on Sweet Pea?
Given that he was down there before, I'm going to go with Ray.
Okay.
Phone out, Pokemon Go, bubble.
So you give him a little bit of an early warning system against spirit wooblies.
I may
Potter?
not have noticed.
No, I can't think of anything that I can do spiritually that will help.
Okay, well, I guess you're tooled up then. Whereabouts are you heading?
Can I ask? I can't remember if I said anything. I was hoping I'd still have my old New World Order service piece, but you might decide that's an unreasonable thing.
That doesn't sound unreasonable. I mean, they are still hunting you after all. So, yes, I don't mind you having
It's just a pistol.
a pistol. Yeah, I was going to say revolver, but it wouldn't be a revolver because it's technocracy.
Yeah, it's a semi-automatic. It's a weird brand, which a gunsmith would be like, I have no idea what this is. But any other technocrat would be like, oh, but stats-wise, it's just
a gun. Yeah.
A pistol.
Okay, and which site were you heading to?
Island was the nearest one.
Tis the nearest.
Should
So
we
you
go
pile
there?
in the van, drive down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, you could walk, but in boiler suits carrying shotgun.
Beautifully decorated boiler suits as well.
Yes, Spider-Man themed boiler suit.
It's like a onesie. It's all right. All the kids are wearing them. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We'll have all the usual tools in the back.
Tiana has insisted that you wear a hands-free earpiece.
All right. Thank
Ray.
you. Hello. Hello. Is this thing on? Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
This is good.
You are next to me.
Yes, but at some point I won't be. And at some point you may notice it beeping. It starts beeping at you, and I'm not somewhere nearby. And yeah, just let one of us know.
Beeping bad.
Beeping bad.
Beeping bad. I love it.
Aliens. Beeping aliens.
Nobody ever looks up.
They're inside the room. How can they be inside the room?
Like I said, nobody ever.
They're animals, man.
Game over, dude.
Okie dokie. So you pile in the van and you drive down the road to Mile End. The flats that they're talking about look pretty decent on the outside. Probably about 4 stories high. Little balconies on the side facing towards the road and facing out towards the east. A couple of for rent signs up in windows of the flats. Even some on-street parking, so it's not impossible to park the car even this time of day.
Oh, it's part of the van then. Right, who wants to pierce the veil?
Now, these are not the same level of sort of protected flats, so they don't have the reception desk, they don't have the greeters, they are just single block of flats, 1 door entry, key fobs.
It's probably not the flats we're interested in. Is it full? Hello, spirit people. Are we surrounded by pony-sized bane spirits?
Look in the Umbra.
Let's take a peek.
I've got kitten pictures ready. I'm all right.
I don't think it works like that for you.
For Tiana, it's just she gets really upset by the pony-sized bane spirits for some reason. I can't see them. I don't know what's going on.
Right, yes. In the Umbra, this place is most strongly reflected in the sort of dark Umbra. Oh, no, everything's fine. It's all fine. Everything's fine here. We're fine. How are you?
Oh,
You
dear.
try to look into the Umbra and you get a little bit of a nerve shock that I've been
Ooh.
poked
Getting
in
a
the spirit
migraine.
eye. Yeah.
I think it's just trauma. She just doesn't want to look.
But JM Junior, you get quite a clear picture. It is definitely the bad side of the Umbra over
Right.
here. While it's not horse-sized banes slopping around everywhere, this
Oh,
place does seem to have a curious combination of like thick, almost vein-like material growing over the outside of the flats. It's like the drain pipes have been replaced by veins going up. So it looks like there's some kind of delivery system. There are things pulsing up through the veins and probably into the flats.
Yeah. So this whole area has been rigged so that the spirit magic is coming up from the sewers into the houses, and it is not good magic.
Oh, that sounds not
Hey.
good.
See any of that?
It is decidedly organic looking, and it's quite evolved almost. It's like a big diseased cyst in the umbra.
Does anybody want to have a see, Tiana? Anyone else?
Are you sure? Looked absolutely fine when I had. Let me have another look.
Yeah. Can I do the sort of trying to tap into the life forces, the energies of the area like I did for Paddington?
Yeah.
In the same way?
Yeah.
What am I rolling?
You're rolling your Arete at
Arete.
difficulty of 5, while you mutter to yourself like a crazy person.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look with you. What's going on?
I've got 2 successes on extending my peak so that I can share it with other people.
Okay, you can share it with 2 others with that.
Yeah.
I'm apparently still having a spirit migraine.
Share it with Tiana.
I just don't want to know.
And Sweet Pea.
She doesn't want to see it.
No, can't see a thing. It's all fine.
Right. Tiana and Sweet Pea, you can both now see this same situation.
Over on that wall. Ew.
Veins coming up out of the ground, sort of
What's going on there?
thick,
Nice.
sticky, cyst-like flesh pulsing on the walls, little membranes that flap every so often.
Oh, dear.
I don't think people would want to live here if they could see what you guys see.
You're probably right.
What can Ray say?
Meanwhile, Ray, you haven't got the same sense of life force ebbing away. There is certainly an amount of energy drain that you would suspect that things around here probably don't keep charge for as long. People get tired more quickly. It's not quite as raw as the one you encountered before. This is a lot more well managed,
Bit more
but
contained.
still a drain. Not so much contained, more sort of managed. Yeah.
Harvested.
Whereas the last one, it was kind of just like a big hole and everything was swirling down it.
Yeah.
This is like a series of carefully maintained drains that siphon off just a little bit here and there.
Nice. Someone's looking after this one. Oh dear. I don't think that's a good thing.
Right, well, let's go down this manhole.
Not again.
Or maintenance cover.
Yeah. Can I get a fix on where I think that's draining to?
Definitely underground again. And a good way beneath you.
Well, we look convincing. Let's find a manhole cover.
Right, you wake up a manhole cover and climb down, and
tool,
you are in old sewers out east like this. It looks like these sewers have been here for a very long time.
Oh, the proper brick tier-shaped ones.
Yeah,
yes.
brick tier-shaped tunnels, a
Very
little
clever.
bit hunched over to walk down them. Although there is electric lighting down here as well. Although it's not particularly new, it sputters ever so slightly, and it looks like sort of neon lighting rather than anything more modern like LEDs.
All right.
The sewage is controlled. There's no big fatbergs or anything. It's just running in a thin river down the center of the tunnel. And the tunnel actually looks like it's been traveled in before.
Oh, we found a popular route.
Oh, good. Popular for what? Rats?
No, looks more like, am I seeing footprints?
You're not seeing footprints, but people have definitely passed this way and in an organized fashion, not just like people coming down here for shelter.
Are we talking coming and going? Is there
Yeah, there's definitely been coming and going down here.
Okay, so they're not just going the one way. All right, well,
And you want to be heading back sort of northwest up this sewer tunnel to get underneath the flats.
It's this way. It's torches. I don't need one. I'm going to go a little way ahead.
I brought one.
Some in the bag if anybody needs them. I'm going to head on a little bit way ahead because if there is anybody up ahead, I can maybe get the drop on them.
Okay. You walk on a little way ahead and you come to an iron door set in the wall of the sewer.
Oh, hello.
With an HM government warning on the front.
Ooh.
Oh.
What does it say?
It says,
Interesting.
caution, danger of death, no trespassers.
Look then.
Definitely going in there. Somebody get a picture of this first.
Yep.
And then, so
what does it look like in
grill-
the Umbra?
Oh, yes.
In the Umbra, it looks a little bit more contained and controlled.
Is the door there in the Umbra, or can I step sideways to get through?
The door isn't there, but there is like a fleshy membrane instead.
Oh, good. Fleshy membrane. Two of my favourite words.
Membrane and fleshy.
It looks kind of like a sort of thin sphincter in the Umbra.
Oh, that's even better.
I'm good with the metal door. Let's try and open the metal door.
Is it locked? Is it barred? Is it solid?
It doesn't appear to be any of those things. It doesn't have a handle or anything. There doesn't seem to be any way of opening it.
I'd like to melt it.
Okay.
I'd like to liquefy it. I would like to talk very kindly to its molecules and get them to feel a little bit less chummy with each other and just kind of flow away with the rest of the sewage.
And
Okay.
relax.
Nice.
That's quite gratuitous.
And breathe and relax.
So please make an arete roll at
Love to. Can't see this going wrong at all.
difficulty 6s, I believe.
Oh, I can see this going wrong at all.
Are you doing this using matter or forces, or a little combination of both?
I was going with mostly with matter, so talking to the molecule.
Okay, so basically it's quite rusty. It's obviously that's what the problem is. The hinges here are rusty, and that makes it coincidental. The fact that you're ripping on some rusty hinges, that's entirely feasible.
Oh well, let's go with that then.
So that make it difficulty 5.
Okay.
Path of least resistance with magic. You've got an old door, clearly rusty.
Oh, hang on. I did the wrong thing.
/
No, forgot the word roll. It's too busy listening to you. Oh dear. Typing. Couldn't believe I get paid for that, wouldn't you?
There you go. So you get a success, and you sort of pry the door away from the hinges on one side, and it comes loose, and then you can sort of feel around and squeak it open. You're not going to be subtle about this. The door kind of screeches ever so slightly as it opens. And inside there is a concrete tunnel, which has got some very, very old safety posters on it that look like they definitely date back to the last century, possibly halfway through the last century.
Approximately World War II?
Approximately a little bit after, maybe?
Just after, kind of thing. Are there buckets with sand in them?
There are.
Oh, marvellous. I'm getting all nostalgic.
And then the next door inside, there's a little reception desk in here, which is covered in quite a thick layer of dust, but it's got sort of prints on it, like people have rested hands or bums and things on it. The next door in there. It does say Project Zenith authorized personnel only.
Oh, well, that's us, isn't it?
And so you push through that door.
Yeah.
And there are no lights in here now. It's all dark again. So the torches come in handy. And you come into another long corridor, which is marked by a staircase just next to you and a number of offices along this floor. Empty filing cabinets, lots of dust, an armory with no weapons in.
Oh.
The whole floor is kind of dead.
So we're looking for some kind of room with like beds with restraints on them.
Okay.
Where evil eldritch experiments might be.
You might be.
On struggling soldiers. I don't know.
Maybe.
feel
I'd like to
that's-
keep following the energy drain if I can,
It's down the stairs.
because I want to find the heart of this thing and rip it out.
So down the
Yeah.
stairs you go. It's
So am I
2
still
flights
seeing,
down.
veins flowing up from downstairs as well.
The veins are running. Veins are running through the veins.
Veins in the veins.
There's veins in the main veins.
Well, there's the episode title.
Evil veins in fleshy membranes.
Nice.
That's starting to sound like a rock band.
Same vein in the membrane. Ew. I dread to even think what the conversation on Twitter looks like at the minute.
Right.
Fortunately, nobody's grossed out by us, so we're safe there.
Yet.
Yeah.
Right, so you go down 2 flights of metal stairs, and the dust is sort of starting to pick up a little bit here. Occasional footprints, but it does look like people haven't been down here in quite a while.
All right.
And you come to a lower floor, and this looks like a hospital ward. There's only 4 rooms on this floor. There's one room which is a hospital ward, which has got 6 beds. Beds is a bit generous for what they are. For a start, they're at an angle like that, with wire backing. And as expected, there are a number of restraints. It also looks like there are some trailing tubes and pipes with needles that could be stuck through the bottom of the bedding into spines and necks and arms and such like. So there's 6 of those beds in here. There's a doctor's office, monitor but no computer, filing cabinets all empty, 1 bit of paper on the floor, very faded writing in it. There's like a pharmacy cum food preparation area, but quite small one. It looks like it's for feeding prisoners rather than, or subjects, I suppose, rather than prisoners, for feeding subjects rather than for feeding people who actually work here. So it's very basic, very primitive. No drugs to see, nothing hanging around. And then the last room is the one that's most interesting, Auden. It's the reactor, in that it looks like a reactor in the really real world, and your headset starts going ping, 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 ping.
I'm getting a pinging sound.
Oh.
Meanwhile, those of you who can see in the spirit world, which at the minute is JM Jr. and Sweet Pea, you can see that the reactor, you're kind of co-viewing the real world where you've got this big old sort of post-World War II industrial furnace thing going on with some glass fronting, and then in the umbrella.
Oh, dear.
It's like the dice don't want you to see.
Rolling on difficulty 6, right?
Not to see, no.
Pause.
It's difficulty 4 to see.
Oh, okay, maybe I don't have the migraine.
So on that, hover over it. You got a 1, a 3, and a 5, so you still don't see anything. 0 successes rather than -1, so you're not getting some paradox from it. Bonus. There you go. A success when rolled at the right difficulty. So yes, you also can now see. In fact, the only person who can't see it is Ray. He's looking at this sort of industrial / mad science reactor thing, and the rest of you are seeing this reactor thing, but contained within it this sort of pulsating womb-like organ, which is secreting.
I am so glad I cannot see what you people say. The looks on your faces, blimey.
Little slimy banelings, which are going into the pipes. It doesn't look very healthy. It looks quite old, quite diseased. And also in this room, there is, in a display case, there's an old missile about 5 feet high.
Oh, that looks familiar.
And the main body of it has been opened up to show in the inner workings, where there are lots of hermetic and runic symbols inscribed, much like you've seen before, only this one's in a much better condition because this one's been professionally opened. There is no polyhedral mass inside.
Well, it's probably in the reactor, isn't it? Yeah.
Right.
This shell casing, sorry, do we think we can close this one properly?
This one would be much easier to close, yes, because this one hasn't been ripped open and left to rust. This one's been professionally cut, opened, had whatever was inside removed.
So we've got all the bits. I'm just thinking, Junior, that if we can get the dodecahedron out of the reactor, we now have a containment vessel handily positioned very close to it.
And you don't need to take the whole missile. It's the bit that holds it is probably only about a foot long.
The cradle.
There's a little cradle inside, like the fusion generator in a Death Star, with a little space designed to hold this polyhedral shape, and then all this runic writing around the inside surface, runic and hermetic script intermingled all around the inside of the casing. So it looks like most of this is a delivery system for whatever that is.
Yeah, because we don't want to be near it when it's just out on its own. It will make you sick.
So how are we going to get it out and put it in there?
Gloves.
With gloves.
Tongs.
I mean, it sounds like we might need more than gloves and tongs.
Really long tongs? It's not really my field of expertise, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd say this is more than gloves. It's maybe even more than 2 pairs of gloves.
Gloves and tongs.
Gloves and tongs. Don't forget the tongs. Really long tongs as well.
Well,
you think about that. I'm going to go back and read this scrap of paper that this voice in my head mentioned, and then quickly distracted me away from.
It's that bit on the floor, wasn't it?
Yeah,
the faded
paper.
Faded paper. I've got quite good eyesight, so I think I might have a look at that.
Okay, so you're picking up the piece of paper and having a read.
Yeah.
It looks like a page from a medical report.
Ooh, I shall read it out loud in my most erudite voice.
It's a report about a soldier by the name of Sergeant Tom Smith. Poor man. And it looks like he was one of the subjects. So subject SGT T. Smith, a date in 1957. And it's talking about rejection of the serum and the effect that it's having on his body. It's describing growths developing in his flesh. It refers to not as successful as the other ones. And that's it. It runs out then. It looks like once you get to the end of that page, it would have carried on to another page that's not here.
Lovely. That's just marvellous, isn't it?
What the serum was.
57. Rejection of the serum. Not as successful as some of the others.
Right, so the plant thing looks like it's roughly war era. Does it look like it's been adapted? Like it wasn't originally designed to pump Banes up to the street, but is now being used to pump Banes up into the street?
It looks like it was adapted probably some time ago, maybe 10 years or so.
Yeah, all right.
But it also looks like it's been much more recently abandoned.
Yeah.
Like within the last 6 to 8 months, it looks like this facility may have been abandoned.
I wonder if someone has hijacked this Project Zenith thing for something completely different and just used the same technology.
I think that's
just piggybacked on it.
I think Project Zenith was about harnessing these. So, step 1, Thule Society created Bane bombs to hit London with.
Mm-hmm.
Step 2, Zenith found
Zenith went, ooh, these are useful. We could make super soldiers.
Cracked these gems out and used them to harvest Banes and inject them into people. Step 3 is someone's been buying them and then using them to pump Banes up into the street.
To try and get their own little army of Bane Spirit controlled misery guts.
And then final step is someone's abandoned this facility. So was 6 to 8 months about the time the Turkish buyer bought the facility?
Yes.
He didn't buy, so the one in Mile End was bought by someone else, no?
No, the one in Mile End he doesn't own.
Yeah.
That's where we are now.
That's where you are now.
Yeah.
He owns
He
the
bought
other
the one
two.
in Bermondsey and Islington.
And when were they bought?
They were both bought. One was bought about a year and a half ago, and one was bought around the same time as this place looks like it's been abandoned, about 6 to 8 months.
Okay, so we need to compare and contrast with those.
Yeah. So maybe they've given up or they've changed tack because he's buying these other sites.
Yeah, who bought this one?
I don't know. Redacted.
This one shows originally as having been redacted, but it looks like now it's kind of part owned by a variety of property companies.
And it's been abandoned. Okay.
Well, they bought the land above it. They haven't bought this place. Nobody knows that this place was here.
Yeah.
As near as you can tell.
All right.
The abandoning of this base coincides with a murder-suicide that happened in the flats upstairs.
Right.
Oh.
So bringing too much attention? Are they that squeamish?
Well, maybe we don't know what other interested parties there are. If the technocracy are in the area, they catch wind of a facility like this. You're going to see 6-8 units of black suits come in, followed by a void engineer dimensional scrubbing team. They'll have this whole place locked down for 4-6 weeks, get the whole area neutralized, and then dump it back on the market at a knockdown price.
All right.
And if they catch the reality deviants involved in setting this facility up, then they'll be taken in for processing.
Process? That does not sound good.
Hey,
Did you want to open up the reactor? Somebody said something about opening up the reactor.
I do not want to open up the reactor.
I think we should just leave it until we find out what else is going on.
I feel like the harm done from allowing this thing to keep operating as it has for many years is probably less than the harm that we'd invite by opening this thing up without due preparation and resources.
Yeah.
Seems fair.
Oh, all right. I'll put me tongs back in my bag.
There's a little bit of me that wants to say hi to the weird organ, but that's going to be a bad plan.
Yeah.
That's my impulse. You don't have to follow what I say, but
I think let's leave the womb alone.
So, are we of the opinion that? Sorry, the what?
The womb. It looks like a huge pulsating filled womb.
Can you guess I watched Aliens recently?
Ray has gone very still.
If
he's not Zoom
he couldn't
freezing
see
me,
that, could he?
I'm just generally going, what? Right, I'm very happy seeing the
It's a squishy organ generating little squishy slug things.
That's mildly better than what Sweet Pea said.
Yeah, it looks very much like what Sweet Pea said.
That's okay, not better now. Right, we go now, otherwise I'm going to be ill.
Right, so you beat a hasty retreat into the sewer before Ray blows chunks.
Because the sewer is better, obviously.
Yes. Oh, thank God for that. I'm just wading knee-deep in human feces.
Oh,
what a relief.
This, I'm used to. This is fine.
No, it's not that bad in the sewer either. It's actually quite a clean sewer.
I
You
think
say
we
you were
need
going to Bermondsey.
Compare and contrast with Bermondsey, because at the moment we've got some soldiers running around who may be on the same side as the Turkish buyer or may be acting against the Turkish buyer. I think we need to know what the Turkish buyer wants And we need to see that in an example of one of the sites he's bought.
Do we have a sense that Project Zenith is still going? Is still an active operation?
I feel like we've got some probably 10-year-old or more last cohort of Project Zenith. But they are now in service not of the government, but of whatever spirit the government was inadvertently tapping into.
It's been privatised into the Umbra.
Oh,
Oopsie.
I saw Gaze's also situation. Fair enough. Because Paratroopy boy, he disappeared. He bureaucratically died, what, 4 years ago? So they've been active fairly recently. My question, so Sergeant Tom Smith did not have a happy time, rejected the serum from the womb back in 1957. And there were successful, or at least more successful test subjects then. What happened to them?
I'm going to say there is no difference between success and failure here. What they mean is rejecting the serum is the spirit manifests physically on the body, whereas not rejecting is the spirit is successfully contained within the body.
Oh yeah. No. I was not trying to make this a happy picture. I'm just kind of curious about that. Was back in 1957, which means they've been around for a while. Where did they
Forgot
go?
to ask. Did you say you wanted to take the missile casing or just the middle bit, the housing?
Ray did.
Well, if Ray wants to, was Ray going to take it because you're the one with the bag and the tools? So it's just a matter of it's a smash open a
case.
And
I'll get to break something. Yeah,
nick
all
the
right,
housing.
happy now. Yeah, I'll do that.
All right, so you've got a set of housing for one of these
Might come in handy.
It might.
The last one, I had to pick up a barrel and pour it in, and that did not end well.
Made me feel sick too.
Yeah, sorry.
Hence
Not
the
nice.
shotgun and the tongs. Yeah, you don't feel as sick in this room as you did in the previous site.
Containment's better then.
This one's done a bit better. It's not just been looked after by a mutant.
And half a rat boy.
And a munched rat, yeah. Yeah. All
All
right, moving on.
Boiler suits are helping for that matter.
Yes, and a very fetching Spider-Man onesie, Junior. Yes, it's lovely. Thank you.
Right, so you're heading for Bermondsey.
Yeah, I'm going south of the river in a Spider-Man onesie. Marvellous.
Put like
Tunnel
that,
or
it doesn't
bridge?
sound quite as
I
safe.
can feel I'm losing dots of influence as we speak.
Tunnel or bridge?
Bridge. I'm not going to any more tunnels than I have to.
So you drive around over the bridge, around into Bermondsey. Much bigger area of deprivation around here, spread even further around the central location. So knowing where the block is, it's an ex-council block, all sort of dirty grey black bricks, concrete pathways, doors with metal railings on them. Could somebody make a perception and streetwise or perception? Yeah, perception streetwise is probably the right way to go. Okay, you notice that there are a large number of Turkish shops in the area.
Oh, we can get kebab.
So yes, there are a fair number of kebab abattoirs.
Oh, some decent coffee. Who wants coffee? I could really go.
But there are also a large number of Turkish shops in the area, and it looks like there's quite a large Turkish community in this particular location.
All right. Right. Who wants coffee?
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, you want sweet or do you want just really full on?
All the coffee.
All the coffee. All right. Anybody else?
I'll have some coffee if it's sweet.
This area.
All right. Well, Teshkur, thank you for the coffee. Ray doesn't know a lot of languages, but he knows how to say thank you.
You're welcome as you go.
All right. Everything all right round here? Got any problems?
Right, Tiana, the Umbra around here is quite squalid. It's more swampy than the previous locations that you've seen. It's like a leech pit. Lots of very small ones of those banes, the little tiny banelings, like the one that you fought in the car park, just sort of slowly, morosely slopping around. Quite a lot of the people have them attached to them.
Yeah.
But they're attached like they're feeding rather than attached like they're bonded.
Oh, lovely.
You notice, though, that there is a teenage boy sat outside an off-license nearby, and in the Umbra, he is different. He's more, and at the same time, so much worse. There's something that looms about him. Like you could almost picture him with an extra set of arms and claws and sharp teeth, which is kind of the vibe you get in the Umbra. That he's not entirely human, but also something more.
That's not good.
He shouts something at you in Turkish, which you gather from the inflection is probably quite rude.
I shall just be all blonde and sort of just smile and nod back and just be all touristy and waiting for my coffee-ish.
Here you go. Here's your coffee. You got all the coffee.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Sweet coffees.
Ah, the spoon standing up. Perfect.
Just careful when you get to the bottom.
Have you seen this, Junior?
What?
The chap over there next to the offie.
I can see him.
Yeah, have you seen him?
Let me see what I can do.
With the
Okay.
Blimey, coffee's kicked in already.
I'm going to read his aura. I'm going to start softly singing his song to myself.
Right, his aura is very much like the one of the chap in the nightclub.
Okay.
Only less focused. So it's kind of flat and dark, almost like obsidian. Only where the guy in the bar was like a knife going up against his mind, looking at this guy's aura is like trying to headbutt a sledgehammer, albeit a fragile and explosive sledgehammer, but one that if someone hits you with, you're still getting bits of glass in your face. His aura is bad.
Do we have a problem?
Okay. Is he possessed?
Clearly.
Right.
You two get the impression that while he's got 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head, that he's actually got more than 2 arms. He's just not using them all right now.
I mean, I could try and exercise him.
What, make him run around a bit?
A few dumbbells each arm.
Jane Fonda, play him some music. Eye of the tiger.
Exercise your demons. Nobody likes a flabby demon.
No.
And you haven't even gone underground yet.
No, we should have gone through the tunnel.
Kind of feel like we don't want to draw too much attention. We've already drawn
quite
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Hashtag
It's given me an idea, though. If we can wander out of sight, where are we going? Going to try and find a manhole cover.
So,
Oh, you're right. It's chewy at the bottom. It's good stuff, this.
I did tell you.
So you wander around the estate looking for a manhole cover. It's not too difficult to find one.
Yeah.
Right, I'm gonna sing a song to myself, lying about myself. I'm gonna change my aura to look like the boys, to look like I'm a Bane infested Fomori. Yeah, I can't remember if that's a level 2 or level 3 effect.
Let's go with it being a level 3, and we'll see how you go success-wise. I might allow a slightly. Ooh, there you go. Not a problem,
Nice.
as it turned out. I was about to say I might allow a lesser version. No, with that you can disguise yourself and 2 other people with a sort of reflexive Bane-like aura.
Or a little brain slug, a baneling brain slug. A fascinator.
Who wants to try and fit in among these things?
Well, I can disappear into the background, so I should be all right.
Yes, please, because I'm squishy.
Okay, Sweet Pea and Tiana then.
Which is lucky because Ray can't actually read your auras, so he's not going to suddenly freak out.
We'll now
Nyan
have,
Cat Rainbow, black splodges.
we'll now also have horrible Fomori auras. Right.
Can I see my own?
I don't want to see my own. I'm all right with not seeing it.
I'm just not looking. It's fine.
So yeah, you've given yourself some creepy auras and you're wandering around the estate and you find yourself a manhole cover relatively close to where you think the epicenter probably is.
Yeah, am I able to tap into the life forces and the energies of the environment? Yes.
Yep, very much like in the last place, only instead of it being managed, it's more spread out here. It's like the effect has leaked further afield. So the first one you went in, it was a very localized effect, and it was a really strong energy draw. The second place you went to, there was a low-level energy draw in a fairly small area. This one is a low-level energy draw on a much wider area. It's sort of a generally depressed, miserable, grotty area. Like the sun rises here a few seconds later than everywhere else, sets a little bit earlier, it's winter sooner, heating bills cost more, your phone runs out of battery quicker. And you get the feeling that this probably covers maybe a third of the whole of the Bermondsey area, spreading out from this estate.
Ooh, this is a hungry and widespread nastiness. Do I get a sense of its centralization?
Yeah, you are very, very close to the epicenter of it.
All right, we're very, very close to the epicenter, apparently. Right, let's find us some way to get...
It's not underground, though.
It's not? Ooh,
no, it's not underground. It's on the same level as you are, and as near as you can tell, it appears to be in one of the shops. In fact, that off license.
Oh, it would, wouldn't it?
Near where you were earlier.
Right.
But not in the front of the off license. It's in the back of the off license.
So I've got some good news and some bad news. Good news is it's not in a sewer. That's good, isn't it? Bad news is, you remember that young lad you were talking about? He's sat in front of it.
Oh.
It's in the off license. It's in the back. Maybe we can get around the
back.
Can we
go around the back?
And maybe be a little bit stealthy. Oh, you lot apparently are all kind of disguised, even though you still look like you.
I mean, will he not notice that we didn't look like this before? Did he see us?
You don't know if he can read auras.
Maybe we should go around the back and then
dodge
I like
the
that
question
plan entirely.
Yeah,
let's do that.
I'd like to go around the back, please.
You make your way around the back.
If we go around the front, there's potentially someone that we've got to like give a password to or something, and we can get in without setting anyone off. If we go around the back and are spotted, then potentially we're running away from from a threat.
It's a fair point.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Quite sneaky.
It's true. We could double prong it.
Yeah.
So one of us goes in the front and actually buys some alcohol, and the others go around the back.
Or 2 and 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
2 and 2.
Party splitting motherfuckers.
Yeah.
All right.
You maybe don't want to take Sweet Pea in the front door, to be fair, given that she's the youngest of you.
Yeah,
It's
can't.
true.
What, to buy alcohol?
Yeah.
Me and Sweet Pea again. Oh, Ray and Sweet Pea, dream team.
Go around the back.
I suppose that way you've got a shooter in each side as well.
Bit of breaking and entering.
All right.
We're good at.
Yeah.
I'm prepping. I want to create a mind 3 effect where I come across as someone that you trust and want to accept as a member of whatever kind of association, brotherhood, or confraternity you may be a part of, just by default. It's just a continuous some mental impression I'm constantly sending out. This will be a technocratic effect. It's going to be based on neurolinguistic programming techniques that the New World Order uses to appear approachable and authoritative to members of the community.
Okay. There you go. Right. So you appear to be someone that is in the right place and not totally out of place, which is handy. Meanwhile,
I'm going sneaky.
Ray and Sweet Pea are going to go sneaky round the back. Can you make a Dex and Stealth roll?
Yeah. I'm going to kind of be tapping into my arcane cloaking, disappearing into a crowd. No one look this way. There's nothing.
Arcane is kind of a passive effect. It means that people won't remember you or won't go looking for you. It doesn't make you...
Not an active cloaking.
No, it's not active cloaking. That's where your Dex and Stealth comes in.
Well,
But I
Dex
wouldn't
and
complain too much. Your
No,
Dex and Stealth is like 8 dice.
Not complaining. No complaining.
Right, so Potter, you're a little bit sneaky.
Not massively sneaky.
It's all right. Ray's only a little bit sneaky.
Yeah, a little bit snaky.
It's an unfortunate roll. Mind you, best to use them up on this than where you might need them.
I
So-
use a bit of my spatial perception as well, just to kind of have a bit of a scan and a sense of things that I might not have noticed.
Okay. So it's Arete difficulty 4. Hey, look at that. So going around the back, Claire, you immediately become aware that there's another teenager there who looks like he's fixing his bike. He's not. You immediately zone in on him because that bike has not been fixed. It's been the same state of disrepair for some time.
Okay.
He is clearly on watch. Ray, you've snuck round the back. You could see the back door of the off license and the flats above it. What do you want to do? You can also see this kid fixing his bike.
I'm gonna gesture to Bray quietly about this.
Boise.
About the guy fixing his bike.
Yeah, is he not as innocent as he's trying to make out?
Subtle.
Very.
Imagine that. Right.
What should we do? Knock him out? I don't know.
It's kind of going from
Drive around London, beat up teenagers.
0 to 60 in very little time, which I've got to admit I like, but not when it's children.
What else is round the back? Is there anything else that we can look like we're going to go
Bins,
to
big
instead
bins,
of? Okay.
a couple of like shed-sized not really garages. You can put a car in them. You could fit maybe a couple of bikes in. A couple of them have had the doors kicked in already, though. Some of them have got really chunky padlocks on. Bollards, back stairs up to the flats above the shops.
Well,
You could just walk up the stairs.
We could just
Yeah.
walk up the stairs. We could be making pleasant conversation about how we're trying to find a drug dealer.
Yeah.
And just walk up the stairs. Why don't we do that?
Let's do that.
Okay, when you don't go into the off license, he starts ignoring you again. He just goes back to his bike fixing. Meanwhile, in the front of the shop, ding-a-ling.
Yeah.
It's your classic small Turkish off license. There are densely packed bottles all along one wall, stacked crates of beer in the middle of the floor, cheap plonk all along the other wall. And then you've got your expensive spirits behind a counter where there's a gentleman with a serious comb over. And we're talking like the 5 greasy strands comb over.
Oh. Tell you, it's got to be the lemon Tanqueray. Nothing else will do. We've looked everywhere else.
Right. Do you have the lemon Tanqueray? I'm afraid. Sorry, my girlfriend. She won't accept anything else.
Yes. I will get for you here. And he turns around and he pulls a bottle of lemon Tanqueray gin off the shelf. It's there you go. It's £37.50.
Thank you, brother. And is there any chance we can see anything special in the back?
He takes a long, hard look at you. And I look at Tiana and he says, We are
family.
Was that spirit peak to have a look at him?
Yes, we'll look at the environment.
He is not a Bane or a Fomori, but he also doesn't have any spirits stuck to him, any of the little slug spirits.
Okay.
There's nothing feeding off him.
So he's presumably a protected friend.
Very well, sir. Please. And
do you want some kind of manipulation subterfuge roll, or?
Yes. But he's already quite favourably disposed towards you because you've given him a big handful of cash.
What difficulty?
Let me think. You did quite well on your disguising, so we'll call it difficulty 5.
Woo!
Yes, please. Also, here is my wife. Yes, he's quite happy to serve you and opens up the counter and ushers you into the back. He says, not for the squeamish, no?
Of course.
And he takes you out back of the off license where there's a little soundproof concrete room, cheap soundproofing. It's got like mattresses glued to the walls, quite dirty. There's a drain in the middle of the floor. There's chains hanging from the ceiling.
Oh, good.
An array of sharp and blunt instruments, a freezer, a small metal brazier.
I mean, this isn't noticeably better than Fleshy Membrane.
Not appreciably, no.
In many ways, worse.
Right. What does this look like in the Umbra?
In the Umbra, this place is an absolute hellscape. Let's see if you can see that.
It's supposed to be.
It's fine, love. It's fine.
It's supposed to be 4, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, in that case, you got some success. Oh.
Maybe. No.
The gauntlet here is very weak. Not technocratic weak, but Spirit Mage week. So the gauntlet here is very, very thin indeed. It looks like it'd be very easy to get things to cross over, and the whole place is a hellscape of pain, torment, suffering, and misery. It's thick with bane spirits of the slug variety, but also of the sharp, jaggedy little goblin variety.
Okay.
Some of the goblin-y spirits are picking up and eating the little slug spirits. There's nothing big slug-wise, not like the ones you saw before, Tiana. These are the slugs that you've seen, JM. They're sort of slug-sized, maybe a little bit bigger, gigantic slug-sized. But the slugs that Tiana saw were the size of dogs or anything like that. You having hearing trouble, Auden?
No, it's actually Ray to Tiana. Just
Right.
Since we are actually connected.
Right.
So I'm going to go, we're at the back and they're in the front and we don't know what's going on. So I was going to go.
So, yes, I forgot about those headsets. I thought you meant these ones.
Is it good?
Looks like this is a place of goblin spirits.
Oh, goblin spirits. Oh, lovely.
I might have to be accepted for a minute. Hang on.
Yep. Meanwhile, outside.
Hello. I'm just going to check in with Tiana. Hello. Can you hear me?
It's like those people on mobile phones.
Yeah.
Hello.
Are you there?
I'm in the library.
I can't talk. I'm in some sort of spiritual torture chamber. Sorry, call you back later.
It doesn't appear like she's answering. So,
oh yeah, you're just getting kind of muffled noises, which may or may not be at you.
Okay.
All right. So I don't want to go busting in, Sweet Pea, if they're all doing fine, because that's gonna kind of ruin the game, isn't it?
Yeah. But
nice to know what's going on. Can I use my powers of force and matter knowledge to somehow get a sense of the back of, almost like a kind of radar visualization, but without actually going anywhere?
Unfortunately, no, because that's more of a correspondence effect.
Can I do that? Not without being really obvious.
I mean, you can do a sort of filter all space kind of thing using your little computer to sort of bring up a map of what's going on in the area, target hotspots, uplink to a satellite, wah, wah, wah.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a little
Let's
bit.
give that a go.
We got a bit crazy with the magic this session, haven't we?
We have.
Ray, if you're any good at Morse, you will hear tapping coming from your headset. It'll be spelling BAD.
Oh.
Oh, I think there's some sort of signal coming through. Or it might be tinnitus. I'm not quite sure.
Right, Potter, you get a feel for the area. It looks like you've got the guy out front and the guy out back who are on watch.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the shop around you. There are lots of people around, but the shop directly below where you are, the off license, is in some way shielded.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
Well, we've got contact with the insertion team, so I think we'll just hang out.
So they're still alive. That's good, right?
Yeah, well, something is, and it's tapping, so it's probably good.
Yana,
Till I
could you
hear
make a
screams.
perception and alertness check?
Oh dear. Probably not.
We're just going to wait for the screams.
Are we readying ourselves to leap over the steps? And
Yes. See if we can land
flying
on
kick
the boy on
the
the way
guy,
down.
yeah.
There you go, splendid. Yes, there is a small altar in this room as well, only in the place where you would normally expect to find some kind of idol or something, there is one of those polyhedral shapes that you recognize from before. Now, backing it this time, instead of the missile casing, there is some writing in a language that you don't recognize on wooden plates. And it doesn't appear to be having the same sort of dizzying effect that you had before. Like this one has been in use for a long time. But it's definitely there.
Who's down here apart from us?
You got the two of you, and you've got the shop owner.
Anyone else?
Not at the minute. He says we normally have service in the evening. If you would like to stay.
Perhaps we could pop back later, or
yes, we have tasks to perform for the family, but
of course
we'll be back.
Of course, we will see you another time.
I appreciate knowing how to get here. Though. Thank you. It's nice to be able to feel reassured.
I'm going to read his surface thoughts. Oh, hold up a sec. Yes, I'll read his surface thoughts.
Were you wearing the jumpsuits when you went in there?
Spider-Man onesies.
Yeah.
No,
I'd probably taken it off to go in the front door.
That'd be a bit obvious, I would think.
Yeah, I would have thought you would have, because that just occurred to me.
You're wandering around this.
No, kind of working on the basis that our auras won't feel the need to attack us.
He is genuinely quite intimidated and in awe of you. He's not frightened of you. You get the feeling that he doesn't really feel fear anymore. The sort of vibe.
Just wondering if any sort of useful names pop up. If when I talk about the family, he thinks of a surname or the name of an organization, or
no, he doesn't. He's thinking more about you and how it's unusual for two people like yourselves to be in their neck of the woods. He's used to seeing more local people, but you don't seem to fit in with his view of the family.
Okay.
He holds quite strong religious views, but it's not a conventional world religion. So he believes he's serving a religious duty by doing what he does for leaders at home.
All right. A religion that involves chains hanging from the ceiling and fridges. Right, I think we'll make our apologies and leave. Unless you've got anything in mind, Claire.
Short of opening the fridge and go, oh, look what's in here now.
I'm ever so peckish.